Hello everybody, I'm Steve Talks, and today I'm going to be Dr. Steve Talks. Today in my experiment we are doing what happens to fragrance if they're put in the freezer for an hour. Can fragrance freeze? Does it change how it smells? All that stuff. So today I'm going to be testing Azzaro Wanted by Night. Obviously, I am not a scientific expert, so do not take this as, real scientific evidence. I'm gonna load it up right now as we're speaking. Already looks lighter to begin with, but I think that's just because of the bottle. I've already conditioned the sample, by the way, meaning that I ran Azzaro Wanted by Night through it couple of times, shook it all up and dispensed it so that everything in it is Azzaro Wanted by Night. So now I'm gonna take my other camera. Hello there, how y'all doing? We're gonna put this in the freezer. So now the time is currently 11:28. We're gonna put this in the freezer right now. As you can see, our freezer is loaded with some good stuff. Alright, so the fragrance is placed right there, as you can see. Time to wait. We got that fragrance in there. It is 11:29. Let's see what happens. I'll be back in an hour. Hopefully nothing explodes or anything. Otherwise, I am kind of screwed. But before I, skip ahead an hour, I want to discuss, obviously there's a bunch of limitations to this. Firstly, this is obviously sprayed into a sample, so it may already have changed just because it was sprayed into the sample. I didn't want to put the whole fragrance bottle in there because I didn't want to sacrifice the whole fragrance bottle. Maybe if one day I'm rich, I can just throw that fragrance bottle in the freezer and see what happens. Obviously there's other limitations, so I don't want to list them all out, but I'm going to try to be as authentic as I can, and hopefully something does happen. Otherwise, this is going to be a failed experiment, and I may lose my authority. Alright, so Dr. Steve Talks is back. Recording this, and it's 4:05, 4:06 right now. It's been over 4 hours. It's about to be 5 hours actually, in like 30 minutes. And I checked it an hour later. It wasn't cold enough, so I think now, almost being 5 hours, it will do. So let's take it out. Ooh, now it's definitely cold. Ooh, and it looks lighter too. Don't know if you guys can see that. I said earlier that I don't have anyone else to smell it with me. But now I got my girlfriend again to smell it, and at least now we have two different, noses smelling it, so it makes it a bit more fair. Alright, so I'm gonna spray the frozen one. I'm gonna spray on this one. Okay, it still works, that's good. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna get you to smell them first though.
Okay.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch it around, so. Yeah, don't look. Alright, so I switched them out. You don't know which one's which. I'm gonna give it to you. You give me the camera. Alright, so we got two right here. You don't know which one's which, right?
Right.
Alright, so you're gonna smell the original and the frozen one and see. Alright. Do they smell different? Do they smell the same? Is there one that's standing out way more? Did the freezing do anything pretty much?
This one might be a little bit heavier smelling.
That one?
But could that be because more was on it?
I don't know.
This one's a little more heavy hitting, on the spicy side maybe. This one's a little more faded to me, the spice isn't as much there.
Well, interesting. You said this one was more spicy.
More, heavy, yeah.
And I wrote F on the back of that, which means frozen. So this is the frozen sample.
I was expecting that one not to be the frozen.
And you said it smells more? Oh,
More heavy.
what about that one? You said that one's less?
It's not as potent.
So they smell different then?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the freezing worked then. Low key, they smell the same a bit, but the frozen one has there's something missing in the frozen one. I think there's like a layer missing, which is bringing out the spice. And it could be like, I don't know, some ingredient that got a little too cold. But that's not too bad. That's like a successful experiment. You know, the frozen one, I feel like just has a layer off. The smell is coming out a bit more. Yeah, I mean, that's good though. So I guess when you freeze fragrances, and they're not actually frozen, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, alcohol doesn't freeze. So I guess maybe the ambroxan or whatever is in the fragrance ended up getting frozen, which brought up the spices more. So yeah, there wasn't much that happened, and I didn't expect much to happen. But it's interesting that frozen one low-key smells a bit more out there, like you said, but they still smell very similar. It's just a very, very subtle difference. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the experiment with your boy Dr. Steve Talks. And thanks, Emily, for being in the vid. Maybe another experiment in the future. Alright, see you guys. Alright, something I'm noticing is I think if you smell one or the other, your nose kind of cancels like the other one out. Now when I smelled the frozen one first, original is like very minimal. It's very minimal. And then if I smelled the original first, the frozen one's very minimal. And I feel like the frozen one on its own just smells like alcohol. So when that goes up your nose, it just kind of destroys everything. And then when you smell the other one, it makes it smell less pleasant because you just now smelled alcohol, like, you know. That's what I came to. That's my conclusion after smelling them quite a few times.